Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Massachusetts Beer Reviews. We got two special guests today. We got Jay over in Louisiana on Louisiana Beer Reviews. And we got Mr. Ethan of Ethan's Beer Reviews.
Hello.
Well, Ethan and I collaborated on trying to get this review done for a couple of weeks now, and we both decided on doing the big monster beer known as the Bigfoot Barleywine Ale. I believe Ethan and myself have a 2014 vintage one yet, and Jay's got his 2013 one. So
I could have gotten a 2014 at the store today, but I didn't know this was going to happen, so I didn't think about getting it. I wanted to try to age this for 5 years, but I have another bottle that I have two bottles, so I'm going to try to age the other one for 5 years and see what it's like.
Maybe we'll find in our review of 2014 a slight variation from yours, vice versa.
Why did you want to do this beer? I'm just curious.
I was trying. Ethan and I were coming up with beers, and I'm trying to think about, well, maybe we both have something that's in the cellar or that we're aging, or something that's sitting around, and we don't have to go and make a special beer trip for. And I mentioned this beer, and he said, "Hey, that'll give me an excuse to review it finally."
So, yeah, to open it and review it. So
sometimes it's hard to find a beer that everybody can get.
Absolutely. So my bottle of the 2014 Bigfoot says it is 9.6% alcohol by volume.
Yeah, 90 IBUs.
Yeah, I'm not going to read the whole description, but they say it is a massive amounts of roasted malt and spicy hops, and brewed in the barley wine style with rich, bittersweet body and a whole cone Pacific Northwest hops.
Yeah, and they're saying they use 2-row pale barley malt and caramel barley malt. And the bittering hops are Chinook, and the finishing hops are Cascade, Centennial, and Chinook. And it was introduced 32 years ago.
Yep, so, 1983.
So this isn't technically, I mean, you can look at it two different ways. There are American-style barley wines, and there are English-style barley wines. Now, as far as I remember, the English style isn't quite as hop-forward as the English style is. The American.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And this is going to be more, not just because it's Sierra Nevada, but it's going to be more on the hop-forward side, I have to think. I haven't had this one in probably over a year.
I have some more, I was going to say, I have some more info. During the process of when it's brewed, the beer itself produces 12,400 gallons of wort, 6 days of 4 open fermenters, 1,216 pounds of whole cone hops, and 1,000 pounds of brewer's yeast.
Wow.
That's a lot of product.
So I'm using it in a St. Bernardus chalice type glass. I figured that's all right to use, I guess.
Yeah, I'm using a tulip glass, kind of like what they show on the Sierra Nevada website.
Absolutely.
And mine is saying brewed in California, so maybe they only do this one in California, not at their alternate brewery. And
that's kind of how I envision this beer being brewed, so I think you're right about that.
I'm just using a little baby snifter for this to savor the flavor.
So you'll notice, well, we're looking at
a snifter glass.
So you'll notice when we're looking at the appearance that between the three styles of glasses, you're going to get 3 different sizes of the beer's head, definitely.
Yeah, it looks kind of copper-colored to me.
Yeah, it's a dark copper.
Reddish.
Reddish thing. And there is a lot of, and I thought I shook it up a little bit, but there is a lot of sediment towards the bottom of the glass. But that's typical to the style.
You're getting a lot of carbonation on mine too.
Ethan, I
yes,
watch a lot of your videos, you know, and of course you watch a lot of mine. I think. But I do watch a lot of yours. But what state are you in?
Ohio.
Oh, okay. I was in Ohio last year.
I'm about an hour away from Dave.
No,
okay.
So yeah, it looks like it's got nice lacing. It's gonna hold some of that legs a little bit, and it is all kinds of. I'm starting with the nose here. It's all kinds of fruity and yeasty and doughy and sugary.
That's what I was thinking right off the bat. It's so fruity, like
Absolutely. I mean,
I guess that's coming from the hops
I
more
would
than
think, I
malt.
would think so. I guess it does have some of that. Now that you mentioned that, I think it does have some of that hop, oily, resiny kind of a nose as well.
Yeah, if I didn't know what this was and I was taking a blind taste test, I would think it was some kind of IPA. I'm serious.
Yeah, like a double IPA in the nose almost. Exactly. What I'm
See,
getting
to
out
me,
of
I
that.
feel like the sweet malt is more dominant in the barley wine, and then I get more hop right after,
Yeah, yeah, that's not a bad way of looking at that at all.
just a little bit.
I agree. So, unless anybody's got anything else to add, I'm ready to drink some barley wine.
Yeah, I got to eat some chips with this because I have to drive to the basketball game. All right.
Cheers, everybody in the
Cheers.
United States and abroad watching this video.
Clink. Yeah, I do want to say welcome to the hundreds of thousands of people watching. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's all kinds of good.
I like to get this every year. I didn't get the 2014 yet. It always kind of tastes the same, but it tastes really good. I mean, it's so rich and fruity and bready and sweet, and it's got some alcohol, though, in it. It's got a brandy taste to me. If you ever drink E&J brandy.
One of the things I'm noticing, actually, I mean, it is on the sugary side, but I am noticing that this is a pretty dry finishing beer, actually.
That's what I was about to say. Like,
Yeah.
if you drink that E&J brandy, it has like this dry finish, which I don't really like. But in the beer, it's good. In the brandy, it's like gross, but in the beer, it's good.
I think you get a lot of the flavors from the aroma of the beer. You get some of that hop, oily, dank, resinous flavor, and some candied sugar, and some of the dark fruits, and that yeasty flavor. But then it finishes entirely clean, and I mean, I noticed that there is a little bit of a bite from the alcohol, but when I swallow that beer, I don't even feel the alcohol burning at all.
I feel it a little bit, and the fruit I get is more like
yeah, maybe minimally on the alcohol, yeah.
The fruit I get is like dates or figs, maybe not dark like dark cherries, but like dates or figs or prunes, maybe. I don't know. It's not made with any fruit, obviously.
I find that barley wines overall, and this one especially, they always seem to have a really big, different than Belgian like quads maybe or something like that, but they always seem to have a big candied, sugary, yeasty kind of a sweetness to it.
I think barley, yeah, I think you're right, and I think barley wines are maybe my favorite style. Now, I don't know if this one is. Maybe I'll like the old Foghorn better, or
that's a drinkable beer right there.
What's that one from North Coast?
Old Stock.
Yeah, I got that in my fridge aging too. But I mean, I like them all a lot. It's like they're probably more of a tie than a real difference. They're so great.
I feel like this is a nice. To me, I'm mostly picking off like real good hop bitterness, but I'm also picking off like a little bit of sweet toasted malt, maybe even a little bit of caramel, a little bit of toffee in there as well. It's full of, I guess, dark fruits, if you will.
Yeah, sometimes the problem with trying to do justice to say a big beer like a barley wine is they can tend to be, and that's just to the nature of the style, they can tend to be so rich and complex that you feel even when you're done reviewing the beer or writing down a review on the internet that you've left things off. And we're probably going to leave a lot of things out of this beer review that we don't intentionally mean to because it's just such a rich and complex style of beer.
Yeah, and man, I'll tell you what, it is such a heavy mouthfeel, and it's such an intense flavor, and if you drank this too fast, I think you would get sick. I mean, it's just too rich to gulp. I mean, I like it a lot, but I mean, you got to take little sips. It is definitely a sipper. It is not. And it's funny because I've drank so many of these high-gravity cheap lagers that are so horrible.
Yeah.
You know? And this one is so wonderful. But it doesn't have any candy sugar. Now, that's the issue I have with a lot of the Belgian beers.
Yes.
Because they add the candy sugar. And Eric and Ethan, I say, well, would they really be that good without the sugar? You know, maybe they wouldn't be so good.
Right. They don't mention, I'm looking at their website, they don't mention at all that they use any kind of sugars.
They don't.
Just have the two-roll, pale, and caramel malts and all the good kinds of hops. that Sierra Nevada usually uses.
Yeah, it's an ale yeast, and then the bittering hop is Chinook, the finishing hop is Cascade Centennial and Chinook.
I mean, if you drink Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, going into this beer, you're used to the hoppy flavors I think that Sierra Nevada beers already have in them. Even though this is 90 IBUs, I think they've done a fairly well job of masking the fact that it's 90 IBUs. I think some of the sweetness and the alcohol is providing a different sensation than it being a really bitter beer, but that's just me on that.
I don't know, Eric. I mean, I find it's really bitter. I mean, this thing is really, to me, it's the full 90, man. In the taste, it is like bitter, this is bitter like a beer that's bitter.
I guess
like a palate record.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's more bitter than the palate record. You know, when I got that Green Flash palate record, you know.
Oh yeah.
You read the bottle and it's like, this will wreck your palate. Don't drink it. You can't handle it. And then I drank it and I was like, this thing is not even that strong.
All Green Flash beers will wreck your palate, they claim.
Yeah, but they're not that strong. This is way more bitter than those, but it's
possibly.
I like Green Flash beers. You know, I'm not like dogging them. But this,
absolutely.
You're gonna feel it. I'm starting to feel it now. I mean, it's like in your head. I gotta drive, and you came up with this idea.
Whoa! Interstate commerce here. Interstate controversy, I should say here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I was just going to say, I would like to mention that the Sierra Nevada Bigfoot, there's also a gold medal winner at the Great American Beer Festival from 1987, 88, 92, and 95.
I hope so.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be an award winner. It's so good.
My introduction, I forget how exactly my introduction, it could have been on YouTube and Beer Advocate for all I remember, but this was the first beer that I ever bought that I said to myself, you know what, I may want to start doing this thing called cellaring. So this beer got me trying to cellar beers in general.
Yep. That was my first beer too.
Is this beer pretty common in your area of Ohio and Massachusetts? It's pretty common here. I mean, I can go right 1 mile from my house and get it for like maybe it's $2.99 here. It might be cheaper in Metairie, like $2.50. I don't know, a bottle. What about y'all?
Go ahead.
I'll start. I
YouTube.
typically see this beer every year. I think the 4-packs maybe like $13 or $14. It's really, I mean, it is a 4-pack, so some people are going to be put off by that. But I think for $13 or $14 that it's usually it varies around my area. I think it's a good value for this beer, absolutely. And the singles, I don't think are much more than what Jay's describing in my area at all.
Yeah, you're paying more.
More for a full
around here
price for singles.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say around here, probably 2 or 3 years ago, it'd probably be harder to find, but now a lot more beer stores around here are carrying it, so it's not too hard to find now. I got 1 to 2 good stores that I go to that I know for sure it'll be there every year. So it's actually came earlier this year than I expected because last year it came around February. So.
Hey, if either one of y'all ever come on down to New Orleans. If either one of y'all ever come on down to New Orleans, I'll take you around and show you some of these beer stores where you can get a whole lot of beers for like between $1.45 and $3.99 a bottle, and you could go back with a huge box full of beers for that price, and you don't even have to buy the big $9.99 bottles. You know, like, let me say this real fast.
Sure.
Over at a local grocery store, which I won't mention the name, although they have an awesome beer selection. I think you know what I'm talking about. They had a bottle of Old Stock Ale, North Coast Old Stock Ale, 2011 vintage.
Woo!
Big bottle.
Yeah, I saw that.
For $19.99. I said $19.99. Oh no! I'll just imagine how good it is.
It's like buying a stove.
It's like
back.
It's that 2012, so a year later would have been here where I can get it. It's $10.23 a bottle.
Really?
For 2012.
I don't know about y'all.
Yes,
I don't know about y'all, but I'm reluctant to pay that kind of money when I can buy so many other. I can buy a whole lot of other beers for the the same price, you know.
Yeah, I noticed. Maybe it's. I got to figure it's universal in the United States, but I find that if you want to buy a big 22-ounce bottle of Dogfish Head beer, it's no more than $16 or $17 for just one of them. It may be a fantastic beer, but it's $16 for just one of them. That's ridiculous.
I'm not trying to be a cheapskate, but I mean, come on, man. I mean, I'm tired of paying this high price.
I mean, some of us, and probably all of us, actually do this. Where if we find a really good beer, I mean, if we find a really, if it tastes really, really amazing, and the other really good thing about it is the price was really, really affordable. That I think is going to, want to drive the ratings of us giving the beer a little bit higher of a rating. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's all about value. It's not all about value, but it helps.
Like psychological, you mean?
Yeah. It's like I can get this good of a beer at this price. Why don't I buy it all the time would be what my thought process would be.
Look, $19.99 for North Coast 2011 vintage. You know what? Earlier this month.
Yeah.
Me and 3 other guys paid $16 a piece.
Woo.
Total, and we got 1 ticket per person, a chance to go on the court and shoot a free throw, and we got $12.25 a person to buy food at the concession stand for the New Orleans Pelicans versus the Los Angeles Clippers game.
Nice.
Now, I mean, if I can pay $16 and go to an NBA basketball game and go on the court and get $12.25 for concessions, which is, of course, at a basketball game in the NBA, $12.25 isn't that much money. But regardless, it makes me reluctant to buy beer for $19.99 for a 16.9 ounce bottle. I mean, I'm just trying to balance it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's what I was talking about. You have a different concept of what value is than some other people might. Exactly. You'd rather spend. You find the value in spending the money going to have a good time than buying this one beer, and I'm only going to have it one time with that one bottle.
Right, and I'm not trying to ridicule paying a lot. I paid, all right, 3 years ago I paid $85 a 6-pack.
Oh.
West Latrin 12. Latrin 12, and I got 6 beers in 2 beautiful chalices. But that was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, right?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll shut up and listen, but I just wanted to bring those points up.
That is fine with me. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up to get to some ratings and stuff like that. I think that this is a pretty. It's certainly an A+ beer. I think it's certainly worthy of no less than on Beer Advocate a 4 out of 5 and a 90 minimum out of 100. I think that the flavors at this point in time in my beer, at least, I think that these flavors have mellowed out a little bit, and it's a little bit of a smoother drink, and it's a little bit easier to drink when it's a little bit closer to room temperature. I don't know what anybody else is thinking about that.
I don't know about that. Okay, Ethan.
I think the hops are, because I've had this sit out for a while, and I remember this as being very hoppy at the beginning when it was cold, but I've had this sit out for about a half hour now, and it's supposed to be warm, but I feel like there's more of the malt character for me, at least, for the taste.
What would you give it for a rating there, Ethan? However you rate beer, how would you rate it?
See, this is the thing, is like, it's hard for me to rate beers sometimes because I have the nostalgia thing going with rating a beer. So this is like one of the first craft beers plus one of the first cellaring beers I've ever had.
Right.
So I would have to give it a solid, I want to give it a 95 because of the fact that with all the pine kind of hops that they put in this beer, I think maybe even like a tropical fruit hop put in this beer might be good with this as well. But but what they have going for them, is the tradition of the Bigfoot Barleywine style ale. So I don't want them to wreck that, but that's just my own personal opinion.
So what is your final score?
I'm going to give it a 95.
That's definitely A+ range.
Yeah.
You're saying I might even get coconut.
Yeah, I might. You almost get a coconut like
I got
when you drink.
I got a licorice.
Like when you drink
bit of licorice in
aged
beer.
beers, like barrel-aged beer, sometimes you get a little bit of a coconut. And yeah, maybe licorice too.
Oh, yeah,
Like I
the barrel aged.
before
Well,
actually, Jay, go ahead. Go ahead with your rating.
y'all are familiar with my rating scale, right?
Yes.
Like a teacher grading a paper.
Yes.
I'm going to give it an A+. I think it's an outstanding beer. I'm not going to say world class, but I think it's outstanding. There are some things about it I don't like, but that's me, not the beer.
Right.
Like the bitterness is too bitter for me, but that's my own
Right.
weakness. That's my own weakness. And if I'm weak, I can't rip on the beer. So I like it. I love it, really. I adore it.
Yeah, it's really perfect in its own style. So
Ugh.
I'm trying to think of other barley wines you are commercially available. You may be able to get. I'm thinking of are, obviously this Bigfoot barley wine. You can probably get the Anchor's Old Foghorn.
Yep.
I don't know how easily accessible the Goose Island Bourbon County barley wine is, but that is
too high
fantastic.
ABV.
Can't get it. Can't get it. Let me tell you what strong beers I can get around here, okay? I can get Bigfoot,
Yep.
Old Stock from Anchor, Old Foghorn. I can get EKU 28 from Paul Honor. No, I'm sorry, not Paul Honor. EKU is from Kalmbacher. That is 11% alcohol. It will devastate you. I can get Santa Claus Classic and Santa Claus Hellas, and those are 14%.
Yeah.
Very common around here. Those will wreck your world. I mean, they will. You do not go to a basketball game after drinking those.
I think the biggest beer I've ever had was the Dogfish Head Worldwide Stout. And I don't remember liking that when I first tried it. Well, when I first tried it, I was 21, and I'm like, this is a stout. I like Guinness. It may taste the same. No,
Yeah,
it did not.
The strongest one I had was the Schmaltz Sweet 16. It was like it was 17% alcohol. It was gross. It was really gross though. It tasted like shaved coconut, and it was horrible. Yeah, it was strong. It was a lot of alcohol, but hell, I paid. What did I pay for that beer? I paid like $8 for this big bottle. Okay, that's not too much, $8, but it was high alcohol. It was disgusting. I could go buy Crown Rust vodka for $5 and get 50% alcohol if I just want alcohol. I don't care, but I wanted the taste. It was gross. It was horrible. It was one of the worst beers I ever had.
Exactly, but I believe that the consensus on the Bigfoot barley wine is we all really, really like it, and if you can get in your area, we suggest to do that, and drink one now, cellar the rest later, drink one every 1 to 2 years, see how you think it changes, develops, and in the next 2 to 3 years, come back to this video and let me know how you like it.
I have to say...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have to say, out of all the barley wines that I've tried, Bell's Third Coast, Old Stock, and the Old Stock from North Coast Brewing Company, Mirror from Deschutes Brewing Company. If I were to compare it to, say, those barley wines, even though Mirror is an English style, more malt forward barley wine, this would have to be number one on my list for that, at least.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Because it just has what I want. You know what I mean? Just has that bittering hop, a nice, level of malty sweetness in the backbone, and a nice pleasant dryness. It's not, make you so thirsty. You know what I mean? It's just a nice ready malt.
Well, in other words, what you're saying is not Bud Light dry.
No.
I always say that Bud Light is like the driest beer in the world.
It's crisp. It's clean.
That's all that matters.
It's somewhat refreshing. Hey, let me retract what I said. I was talking about that Sweet 16. That really wasn't very good. But the beer that I'm thinking of that was gross and disgusting was actually from North Coast. I'm not joking. It was a barrel-aged, golly, I could find it if I did some research on the internet. But it was 17% alcohol, and I mean that beer was such a challenge to drink the whole bottle. I said, I'm drinking it, though. And it took me literally like 6 hours. It took me 6 hours. Every hour I would take a little sip, and eventually I got to the bottom. But it was like, oh, it tastes like shaved coconut and overall disgustingness. But most of what North Coast makes is really fantastic, I have to admit. I'm glad you came up with this idea to do this Bigfoot, though.
Ethan, thank you for that idea. That was a good one. Absolutely.
Yeah. You're all welcome. You're all welcome.
Ethan, it was your idea?
I just wanted to... Well, it wasn't my idea. He just kind of like threw a list out there, and I picked that one.
A whole bunch of beers that I got at my house or in my cellar, and he said, "Wait a minute, I haven't had that one yet. Let's try that." I said,
"Well, I was thinking the fact that you live in Massachusetts. That's why I was like, okay, let's do the Boston Lager. You know."
Oh yeah, I'd do that.
But yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to come up with an excuse to open up, because here it's like now it's not around anymore. At least where I live at, like unless I drive 1 to 2 hours away, I can't find it anymore. So I have 3. Well, now I have 2 in the cellar. So hopefully I'll be able to hold 1 for 5, and maybe 6 or 7. But I heard that on a forum they said that the Bigfoot ages very well right after 2 years, because then the hops really kill out. And then after usually a year they kind of hold their hop flavor, but usually around 2 to 3 years, that's when it starts killing the hop.
Okay, so I'm still not at that point yet. That's why mine was still pretty darn bitter, right?
I guess.
Yeah. That's what they were claiming. Yeah.
You know how they say hops fade after a long time? And I know that's true. Okay, I know that's true. Yep. But have y'all ever heard of a beer called Brewdog Hardcore IPA?
Yes.
Yeah. From
Brewdog.
Whatever.
Brewdog. Scotland. Look.
Yeah, from Scotland, yeah.
All right, look. A local grocery store, which I won't name, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, they had a ton of this Brewdog that they could not get rid of it, all right? And it was like 5, 6 years old. It was so out of date. And so the guy was like, the manager was like, you want this stuff? You can have it. You can just take it out the store. I said, all right.
Wow.
I mean, common sense. You think I'm going to turn down free beer? All right. That stuff is like 10% alcohol, right?
Wow.
All right. Well, one bottle burst open, and I had to throw it out because I actually hit it against the counter on accident, and the top blew off. It was so because it's bottle conditioned, right? So it's got yeast growing in it. All right, but anyway, all right. So I drank this beer, and it was old. I mean, it was really old, but the hoppiness, the bitterness was still there. And I'm wondering if I don't know a whole lot about the science of beer, but I'm wondering if the 10%, I think it's 10% alcohol, kept those hops alive, because I mean it was pretty hoppy, and it was like 5 years old, but it was awesome. I don't know. Y'all might know more about.
I mean, I'm just trying to get into cellaring IPAs, because I know that that's not a common thing to do, but like I have only 1 bottle of Ruin 10 from Stone. That's the beginning of my cellar, but for right now, I mean, I don't really have a lot of hop bombs that I'm going to be throwing. Hopefully we'll get Hop Slam around here soon, but right now it's just in kegs, so.
Only wish I could try that beer.
Ethan, I think that's a good idea, because like people say IPAs, you got to drink them fast.
Fresh as fuck.
Fresh, yeah.
Because of the date, guys. But
yeah.
But I was wondering this the other day. I was thinking, like, what would happen if you took an IPA and you aged it a long time? I know the hops would theoretically fade, but I would like to see somebody like you or whatever take a bunch of IPAs, and I mean just like regular old IPAs, like what's a common one, like Torpedo, and age them for like 5 to 10 years, like 10 years, and see what it tastes like after 10 years. I don't know. It might be horrible, but it might be awesome.
I usually don't cellar things that are under 8 to maybe 7.5%. Other than that, I'm not going to cellar it. So.
Yeah, but what if? You know what I mean?
Because I've had bad experiences. Oh no, yeah.
Well,
we shall see.
Anyways, I have been Metro's Beer Reviews. We got Louisiana Beer Reviews. We got Ethan's Beer Reviews. This has been the Bigfoot Barleywine. And as I say at the end of every video on my channel, until next time, Keep tasting those great beers. We'll see you soon.
Right, and don't forget what's coming up Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'll have to let you all know on my Facebook channel.
Don't be shocked.
Facebook.com/ThomasMetal75.
Don't be shocked about what's coming up Wednesday.
And don't be shocked. There might be a wheat beer that shocks you, like a shock top. Well, wait a minute. Shock top's coming up.
Thanks, folks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers. Mine's all gone. You know, I drank it fast.